Are you ready to become absolutely legendary in the way you open? And how you are going to open is actually what this is all about. Because in the previous lesson, you understood why hook is so important, right? We want to catch the attention fast. We want to show people why it's relevant for them, why you are credible, how long this is around going to take. And of course, these are more like checks on a checklist. Maybe for a podcast, it's not so relevant to share how long it's going to take because every single episode is around the same time. Maybe the host introduces you with a certain credibility so you don't have to reiterate upon it per se. So you're going to learn some stuff about hooks. We're going to actually watch 3 examples together. And every single time we're going to look through 3 different lenses, 3 different questions that are, I think, the most important to ask yourself. Because what I'm not here to do is to share, when you open with this specific one thing, just like I did with raise your hand if you do this and raise your hand if you do this and then make it rain. If you're going to do that, it's going to be awesome. Maybe you feel like, okay, Lori, I get the point. I get why you do it, but it doesn't resonate with me so much. What I want for you is that you are incredibly capable of creating your own hook with your own creative energy, with your own personality, with your own thoughts, so it can be extremely you. Because why do people want to work with you? Because you're you and you're so freaking awesome. So we want to optimize your personality in this. You should completely be free to choose whatever works for you. But there's 3 specific questions that are incredibly important to answer for yourself. The first one is, does this make sense for the transformation that people are going to get on, right? What's the aim? Does this make sense? Second is, does this feel like me? Does this feel authentic to me? And last but not least, do you grab people's attention right away? Do you get them hooked? Do you get them engaged from the beginning? Right? So those 3 questions we're going to look through while we are watching these examples. Okay? You ready? You ready? The first example, this is Thijs. He is an engineer. He's very, very fascinated and obsessed about helping the planet become a better place. And what he did is he basically created a whole system for the African rainforest, where rangers would get a notification when let's call it a camera that he created, scanned an elephant. So the ranger got like a notification so he could be there first and not the people who would love their ivory and would kill the animals, right? So let's see how he opened in his authentic way.
Last year, I'm sitting in a Toyota Land Cruiser. It is this big 4x4, and I'm cramped up in the back of that truck, together with my team and all the special gear that we need. We leave the populated areas, and the roads become worse and worse. We hit a huge pothole in the ground. We fly through the car. I can barely hold on to our gear. I hope it stays in one piece. As the sun sets, the sky turns from blue to black. And suddenly the driver slams on the brakes. We see a group of elephants cross the road in front of us.
Dun, 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 dun. Cliffhanger! Alright, let's go through the questions. First, I will tell the answer to one of them. Is this authentically Thijs? Thijs is an entertainer. Thijs is someone who is the joker in the family, so he will probably, you will see more of his talk. He makes jokes, this is him. He is like telling the whole story. So this is the way where he opened up. He's sharing a specific part, a scene of his life, part of his story, and it makes sense when you listen to him further. So, is this authentically Thijs? Now, does this make sense for the transformation? Is this getting to the aim that we want to get across. What do you think, based on how I introduced Thijs? Right? This is getting a scene of his life where he explains what the importance is of this work that he's doing. You just heard a small part, so maybe it's hard to completely get to the answer. But when you see the whole video, which you are able to, you see that this is the start of the urgency of the whole talk. So that's beautiful. And then last but not least, did he get your attention? And we were sitting in this big 4x4. There was a huge puddle in the ground, right? He's bringing you to a scene. He's bringing you, you're seeing it, you're feeling it, you're embracing it, you're there with him because he's painting the picture. Now, what I always do after showing a group of students, or better said, impact makers, a complete video, and I ask them, did this resonate with you? I would love to ask you the same question. If you listen now to this, do you feel engaged? Do you feel, this is interesting, I want to learn more? Maybe it's a yes. Amazing, amazing. This is an opportunity for you to apply as well. If no, that's completely okay. There will never be 100% of the crowd that's cheering for you. There's always people that just don't resonate with your story, that just don't resonate with your personality. And that's cool. That's cool. That's why we want to ensure that you're shining in your light, so you're attracting your tribe. Make sense? All right, you ready for the next one? Let's see if Lori's tech is working.
Last year.
Oh my God, it works. This is incredible. So this is another. This is a woman, Juliette, and she is very, very, very passionate about the way children are educated. And she believes that the system, the school system, is not so aligned with the vision that she has, which is that the earth, that daily life, that the practice of understanding our own body and connecting with nature is way more important than sitting behind a desk and getting tasks to do and then all those things, right? So that's her story. Let's listen how she opens, okay? Again, listen through the lens of those 3 questions.
Let me tell you a story about a tiny seed that was once full of life potential. One day it sprouted its leaves above the soil to absorb the sunlight that was essential. The little plant felt ready to discover the world, and that made it come alive. But that huge glass ceiling above it seemed like the wrong place to arrive.
What happened over here? What did we just witness? What was she doing? She wrote a poem. She started with, let me tell you a story. And then she was sharing a poem. A poem about the subject that she was about to dive into, start with. So let's go through the questions again. Is this authentically her? Heck yeah. This is so her. She loved creating poems as a kid, which again ties so elegantly to the subject that she's about to talk about education. So this is what she loved to do when she was a kiddo. Now we're going to get in how important hooks are in a bit, and you will see a great through line in what she's doing over here. But she's sharing this in her way. Now, what you may have seen actually is that she is standing on her bare feet. This is so her too. She wanted to ground on stage. Does this mean that you always need to put out your shoes? Because there's rules to this game and you're gonna do it exactly like her because she was amazing and she was on a TEDx, so now you never wear shoes again when you're on a stage. No, this is her authentic way. This is really, really who she is. And she's just doing that because when she shines her light fully, she impacts the audience in the most extreme way. Second thing, is this in alignment with the transformational journey? Is this in alignment with the aim? Yes, it is. Do you start to see that? And then last but not least, does she grab your attention right away? Well, she's reading a poem. It's not what you expect. So it's a surprise. So you're like, what? Okay, let's listen in. She should not do this for too long because then you're kind of lost where you're listening to. But just to grab the attention is a great, great way to do so. Again, did you resonate with her? Maybe you're still vibing and you're like, oh my God, these two examples are incredible. They're doing a TEDx talk. I want to do this. Or like, well, this was a little veil for me, a little soft. Well, you're probably someone who talks very fast yourself, right? So again, it does not have to be that you resonate with everybody. Find your unique way to connect uniquely with your tribe. You ready for a third one? Third video. Let's see about the techie. Oh no. Oh, there we go. Where are we going?
Designed by TU Eindhoven. You maybe saw them on the news once. This is a car, but these are also cars that are designed by over 40 teams of bright minds that participate in the World Solar Challenge every year. They look like this, and even like this. And this one was driving 70 kilometers per hour with 5 people inside and still charging. That means that they just couldn't get the battery down. However, do you see yourself driving in this? Taking the kids to and from school, doing groceries? Doesn't seem very practical.
All right, I was halfly talking through, so you have a bonus one. We're gonna watch it again. And now instead of me answer it right away, I want you to think through the lens. What is their authentic strength? What is probably the goal that they want to achieve? What's the aim that they're going for? And what is the surprising element that they use to catch the attention right away? So let's watch it again.
These are solar cars, designed by TU Eindhoven. You maybe saw them on the news once. This is a car, but these are also cars that are designed by over 40 teams of bright minds that participate in the World Solar Challenge every year. They look like this, and even like this. And this one was driving 70 kilometers per hour with 5 people inside and still charging. That means that they just couldn't get the battery down. However, do you see yourself driving in this? Taking the kids to and from school, doing groceries? Doesn't seem very practical.
All right. You can pause the video and write down your answers. And then also look through the lens. Okay, if these were 3 different examples, 3 different ways, 3 different people, 3 amazing TEDx talks, what could it be for me then? What is the aim that I'm going for? What does feel uniquely me, and how can I create a surprise effect? Because what she is doing really great is that she immediately brings you to the pictures. You can see it literally. We talked a lot about this because often I'm not such a fan of extra props because sometimes you're relying on the props while your story is probably more vivid. But in this case, it was really useful. Would you agree? To see what is possible, to see what the development is of the cars. You're immediately hooked in the story, and there's 2 young women. That is already a surprise element, right? You're talking about a technical topic about cars, and then there's this solar challenge, and you're like, what is this about? And then there's 2 really young, extremely bright women. It's like, this is interesting, right? So there's so many different ways to create that surprise element. There's so many different ways to open up. One that I saw in a speaker that I love to look at is Jesse Itzler. I one time analyzed his TEDx talks. He's on the YouTube channel. And he opens in a way where you are surprised that he already starts. So it's like, did he start, or is he still like kind of like talking with a crowd. For example, one time the host says, and this is Jesse Idler. And then he starts with, yeah, this is the way I was introduced. And now I'm here, you're all clapping. But there was one time, and then he just wings with it and he starts right away. So there are so many different elements that you can use to start. I started the previous video with who here wants to make more impact? Who here wants to make more income? Now let's make it rain, which makes it a little interactive. People immediately buy in, oh, this is for me, this is relevant for me. They're physically engaged. They have to laugh, maybe because I said, make it rain, make it rain. So it's the state that you come with yourself as well. So there, again, are so many different ways. Now you want to create your hook. What feels authentic to you? Is it a poem? Is it a story? Is it a newsflash? Is it, I don't know, a dance, whatever you come up with? Does it make sense for the transformation? You don't want to make it distracting. What is it with the second woman, Juliette? You don't want to spend 2 minutes on a poem because then people are like, what am I listening to? And it's distracting, right? So it's cool when it's cool, it's distracting when it's not. Now you might wonder, how do I find out? What do you think? How will you find out if your hook is actually getting those things across? By testing it out. By practicing it in front of real people. Whether it's on your Instagram, whether it's online, whether it's in a podcast, whether it's on a physical stage. Just try it out and test a bunch. And you will also find out that you might not always need the same. And you can start to play around with it with different variants. Maybe, just maybe, you're in a different mood sometimes. And you just want a different opening for yourself because it feels more authentic for you in the moment. And now we're starting to play around. Now you start to really dive into that transformational speaking where you don't need a script and you don't need one perfect story all the time, but you are the one who can feel a group, feel your own body, and deliver through practiced flexibility the best transformation possible. So let's create your hook now.